This afternoon we will be interviewing Mrs. Virginia D. Hayes. And she lives in Gainesville, Florida. All right. We're going to put the microphone here for you, Mrs. Hayes. Would you state your full name?
Virginia D. Hayes.
And also, we're going to ask you about your relationship to Rosewood.
Okay.
So you want to go ahead and start talking?
Well, just that
Okay.
Edmund Goins was my grandfather, and he's the one that owned he had quite a bit of land there, and he owned the tongue factory. Yeah, he also had a store on that land. But quite a few of the members of Rosewood worked for him, and some stayed on that land. My grandfather had 12 children. He had 12 children, and he had bought land in Gainesville shortly before it was burned. Yeah, so some had come to Gainesville before it was destroyed. Yeah. My grandfather came from North Carolina, New Bern, North Carolina, and he came to Rosewood to work, who would later be my great-grandfather. But he came down on the train to work, and he met Edmund Goins' daughter, and then he married her, and my father, Harold Marshall, that was his father, who came. My father came down to work for Ed Goins on the tongue factory. Yeah. So that's how I got in the Goins family.
Now, your father's name was Harold?
Yes, Harold Marshall.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay, Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay, and he was from New Bern, North Carolina.
His father.
His father was from New Bern, North Carolina.
Yeah, my father was born in Rosewood.
Okay, so Harold Marshall was born in Rosewood.
Yes.
Aha, wonderful.
Yeah,
and
so
my
my
grandfather's name was?
I think it was James Goins Marshall.
Okay, James
Marshall.
All right. And how did James Marshall know to come to Rosewood?
I'm not sure, but they knew. Mm-hmm. You know, there
was work here for him, huh?
Right, because my great grandfather was from Carolina also. Okay. When he moved down to Gainesville with the machine, he bought his machine to start the factory, tongue factory.
Uh-huh.
He bought it. Yeah, tongue.
Yes.
Yeah, he bought it on the train.
Wow.
From Carolina.
So they had been doing that work in Carolina prior to coming to Florida.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So then and during that time people were looking for work, so he came down to Florida. My grandfather came down to Florida to work for them, and he was working and met his daughter, and they got and they got married. And that's where my father and my aunt Eva Jenkins, you remember her?
Yes, Miss Eva Jenkins.
That was my aunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and there was another son. He passed. Yeah. But and my grandmother passed. She died in child labor. I mean, yeah. And because in Rosewood, because there was no doctor, she couldn't go to City Key, and there was no doctor that was going to help her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the grandmother, what was her name?
Yeah. Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. So the grandmother's name was Sarah.
Yeah.
And she passed in child labor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did the child
yeah,
live?
Yeah. No.
No, the child didn't
So
live.
it was just 3 of them. Yeah.
3.
But my great grandfather, he had 12 children.
Oh my goodness. Okay, he had
Yeah.
12 children. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And they had quite a bit of land. I think they had more land than anyone else. And there were a lot of the people that lived on their land.
Well, they all lived on that land. Yes, they did. Yes.
Yeah.
Could you estimate how much land you think he had in
We have it, but it's been a while since.
300 acres?
It's been a while since I took a look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably well over 300 acres.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he rode a mule around with one of those gallon hats. Yeah, that's how he got around the property.
I see.
I often talk about he looked like Grant.
Well, he was busy maintaining his business.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes, indeed.
Right, but he was also into music, I think, and taught piano.
Taught piano lessons?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing about the people that came here from North Carolina. They were well educated for that day.
Yes.
They were extremely well educated. We found some had graduated from Shaw University in North Carolina. Some had gone to St. Augustine College.
Yes.
So they had been exposed to the higher forms of life
Right.
for African Americans
Right.
at that time.
Yeah, they were doing quite well. I think just about everyone in Rosewood was doing quite well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was, we think, one of the reasons why the situation happened.
Yeah, they had everything they needed, and everything was, yeah.
I heard they had a water tank down here.
Well, they had all their needs were met right there.
That's what they said. Said that most African American towns did not have a water tank. Mm-hmm. But they had one because the train stopped in Rosewood.
Right.
The first stop out of Cedar Key was Rosewood.
Yes.
And of course it was a coal burning train, so it had to have water. Mm-hmm. And they would get additional water and make sure the train could make it on up to Bronson, and then from there on up to Archer, where we are today.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, tell us some of the stories about your family.
Yeah. Well, some of them, some went to Tampa, St. Pete, West Palm Beach, and Tampa. There may have been other places, but I know some went to those places. West Palm Beach, and,
yes.
And Tampa, and Jacksonville.
Miami, too.
Yes.
A few of them went that far south.
Right. Yeah.
Did any of them go out of the state of Florida, you think?
I imagine they did, but at the beginning, no. But quite a few came to Gainesville. Mm-hmm. As I said, my grandfather had already bought some land for some of the siblings, children.
Yes.
Blackwell, many of them, when they got off the train, some came to Gainesville, they caught that train that night.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they came to Mrs. Blackwell's house, mm-hmm. which was on Seminary Street, which is Fifth Avenue now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they came to her. Yeah.
Now tell me a little bit about Mrs. Blackwell.
I can't tell you too much. That was Wingay's mother.
Vernon Wingate?
No, that was, I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Miss Blackwell, the Blackwells owned that house, and then they had they had two units. They had two girls, and then one. Then I don't think one had any children. She adopted one, but the other one had two boys. They almost looked like twins. Yeah, but then one of the daughters married a Wingate, Eunice. Married Wingate.
Wingate.
Yeah. So most people remember that house as Wingate because it's been a while since yeah.
Where was this house located in Gainesville?
It was between on Fifth Avenue, in between 4th Street and 6th Street. It was not too far from Old Mount Carmel. Yeah, not too far from Old Mount Carmel. And my grandfather had a house on the other side of 13th Street. But he passed when my father was very young. So Mrs. Wingate took my father in, and he and my aunt and uncle, and raised him.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Yes. But as I said, quite a few people came to that house. Some of them ended up around Depot Street.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There were several goings in that area.
On Depot Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
And then we had Mary Hall Mary Hall Daniels. She's our only living Rosewood survivor, who was 3 years old that came out on the train.
Yeah.
And I think she was around on the Depot Street area. She stayed in Gainesville and finished high school at Lincoln
Yes.
in 1940. So there were, there was quite a bit of activity there from people from Rosewood.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite an adventure.
Yeah.
Is there anything that stands out in your mind?
Just a short while ago, my daughter Janet and I, we found out that there was a Goins fraternal building in Alachua. Yeah. They had that. They had one in lodge in Rosewood.
That's right.
Well, there's one that was started by someone from Goins, right in
Neighbor from Rosewood.
in Alachua.
Okay, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we knew about the one in Rosewood.
Yes.
And they found a sword about 5 or 10 years ago out in the woods. It was cut into many, many little tiny pieces. It took a while, and they put it together. And they said this was the sword from the Masonic Lodge in Rosewood.
Yeah. Well, there's one in Alachua, and they really didn't know too much about the Goins until my daughter inquired about their scholarships, because for my grandson.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we were invited there. So just recently, we found that out. Because the lodge does carry that name. It was started by
one of the Goins.
Goins from
I gotta find out what
Rosewood.
his first name was.
Yeah.
I have some information on it.
Okay, very well. I'd love to have that. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And so the Goins were really spreading out in Florida.
Right.
They didn't just stay in Rosewood. They
No.
had land in Gainesville and
Yes.
Alachua.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very prosperous people. It was making a way for their family to advance
Right.
in society.
Right.
That was another part of the history of Rosewood.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you mentioned the scholarship. Did your grandson receive a scholarship?
Yes. Well, there's a banquet real soon, I think. there is a banquet soon where he will actually get it, and there's possibility he'll get two, but I know there's one. He's supposed to be getting one.
Speak.
He is getting the official Rosewood Family Scholarship.
That's from the state of Florida.
No, he has.
No?
Yeah, yes.
He has that, and we're waiting to hear back from Goins Lodge. At the last time I talked to them, Ben was the only applicant, and they really wanted to give it to a descendant when they found out that Ben is a descendant.
Oh, wonderful. So you're waiting to hear back on the
Yes.
second one.
Yes.
And then the first one that you received from the state of Florida, did they tell you the dollar amount?
No, but I went on the website, and it is renewable.
It is, huh?
Yes, it is renewable. I'm not sure that the original, that is at the level, the first scholarship. I don't think it's at the level that
The
they
first
originally started,
scholarship.
but it is renewable.
Well, that's good.
And they get preference when it's time to apply for
Excellent.
the next year.
Excellent,
Yes,
excellent. That is a key point because I was
Yes.
not aware of that. I know that with the beginning, it was a one-time scholarship, but it's renewable and that's wonderful. But what they changed, it used to be open to all African Americans. Rosewood family first, and then after that, then they would look at others. But they have eliminated, I believe, that portion of the scholarship, and now it's strictly for Rosewood family, and then they have the family tree and they check your
Right. It's all
name.
digital now. You don't
Yes.
have to put all the information that you paper.
Yes,
that
all
you
that
used to have to-
paperwork that they had to do in the beginning. And we
Yes.
used to sit with them on Saturdays and it'd take a whole afternoon to get the paperwork done. So now it's all digitized and it's online. So that is wonderful. Great. Well, congratulations to Ben. Very happy for him and to let it be known that the scholarship is yet helping
Yes.
Rosewood family members.
Yes.
Yes, that means so
Yeah.
much to the
Yes.
community. Is there anything you would like to share with the public about Rosewood?
Well, we're still the Rosewood reunion is still going on. I think that's just wonderful. You know, year after year, we're still it's still taking place
Yes.
at various places.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
And it seems as if it's growing and getting stronger every
Right,
year.
right. There are quite a few young people here today. So it probably could go on another 30 years or
Yes, it does.
longer.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so we're keeping it alive. We're keeping the story alive.
And that is so important to
Yes.
humanity and to all
Yeah.
cultures.
Right.
Yeah, you're sharing it all over the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we close out your interview today?
I don't think so. I'm just happy to be here and happy that is going on. And met some more family members today. So I hope that it continues.
Yes,
Yeah.
it will. It
Yeah,
will.
yeah,
'Cause you
it
have your
just-
daughter sitting here and she's smiling, so she's
Yeah.
going to make sure it continues. And
Yeah.
your grandson and
Right.
other family members, so it's
Yeah.
growing. And that
Yeah,
is so
as I said,
important.
there's quite a few young people
Yes.
with us today.
And a lot of little ones, too.
Yes, very little ones.
3 and 4-year-olds. And that is wonderful.
Right.
To know
Right.
that they are here and going to have a chance to learn and know about their heritage.
Right.
It's very
Right.
important. Well, I want to thank you for your time today.
Oh, sure.
And we
You're
want to thank
welcome.
you for being here in Archer, which is the first stop of the train out of Rosewood in Alachua County
Yes.
in 1923.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.